Hey YouTube, we're back with more fruit. Oh my goodness, I guess we're making fruit leather. This is not even a tiny portion of what I just picked off of our plum tree. I actually just went outside to pick the apples, which are beyond ready. And I thought I better check the plums. Oh my gosh, plums right now is what's happening. So this picture that I'm going to show you is what I could reach picking just from standing up. I have to take the ladder out to get the rest of them. But I'm going to make the fruit leather that we grew up loving, that my mom used to make when we were kids in the 70s and 80s. So I'm going to show you the unsweetened version that I make, but you can sweeten it as much as you like at the end if you want. So I need to get rinsing many plums, grab an apron, and we'll check it out. So what we're going to do to get these ready to go in this big pot, you can see I've got my big cooking pot right here, and I'm going to throw the halves there, and we're going to throw the pits in this. So what I do is just take a plum, paring knife, cut it all the way around like that, and just twist it apart. Two halves. That half is going to go in there, and you can use the knife or you can use your finger and just kind of pry the pit right up out of there. So that one's out. The pit goes right there, and the halves go in the pot. And we're going to do this with all the plums all day. I'm just going to be here all day. Oh my goodness. And I'm probably going to juice a bunch of these. Anyway, I'm going to do a whole bunch of this, and the next thing you'll see is we'll be over at the stove. So I'll see you then. So that I counted. This turned out to be about 176 plums. So what I do is just get them on the stove over sort of a medium-low heat, and I'm going to add a little water to this pot just so they don't stick as they're heating up. And I want to just kind of keep an eye on them, and we're going to stir them pretty often as they heat, and you just want to cook them until they're kind of soft and mushy, and then we're going to put them through a food mill, and that's pretty much the first part of this. That's how easy it is. So this is 8 cups of water. See how much we need. That was half of it. So I just put in 4 cups. Is that all we're doing? Let me take a look here. I wing most of my recipes, so there is no script. We didn't write anything down. This is just how I've always done it. So basically you just want to have enough water in the bottom so these don't stick. But you are going to be coming back and sort of tossing them around and making sure that they're, you know, rotating around in the pan as they start to cook. I think I will put, okay, so that's 6 cups of water. So if you're keeping notes, 175-ish plums, halved, so they're all cut in half and pitted. Their skins are still on, and 6 cups of water. And we're on a gas stove right now. I've got this on a 4. So I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on this, and I'm going to come back and just kind of toss them around as they warm up in that water, so that they all get a chance to get nice and heated. But right now they're just really stiff and raw. So we're going to watch them for a bit. I'll probably put a lid on at this point and just let them sit and kind of keep that steam and warmth in there and let them start to soften up with that water. But definitely don't forget these are here. If you walk away and forget them, you may end up with them burned to the bottom of the pan, and that's a kind of fruit leather that we're not interested in. And after an hour, I turned this up to, this pretty much boiling to get it cooking, and then turned it way down. And this has been just about an hour, stirring it fairly often, and you can see the skins are starting to come off, and they're starting to break up, and you can see how much more liquid they've released compared to that original batch where, you know, we just had the 6 cups of water down there in the bottom. But we still want them to be soft enough to be pushed through a food mill, and I'm not quite there yet. I want them really soft. So I'm just going to keep letting them simmer, and this is on my gas stove over like a 1 heat. So I'm just going to put the lid back on and let these continue to cook on really low until they're soft enough to go through that food mill. So this is after this cooked down for about 2 hours on the stove, and here's a little tip: you can let it sit overnight. I did not have time to get to this last night, so this went in the fridge, so it is cooled all the way down, and you can see these are nice and saucy. So we're going to move them into the food mill and get them processed into a puree and get rid of the skins, and then we will start cooking that down. And this is as easy as just taking whatever scoop you want to use and putting all the plums through this food mill, and then we're going to take the pulp back to the stove and cook it down just a little bit to get rid of some of that extra moisture that's in there before we put it in the food dryer. It just saves me a little bit of time in the dehydrator if you can steam some of that extra moisture content out of this on the stove. So that's what that looks like after it's gone through the food mill. And it's still pretty liquidy. And we're going to let this cook down until it's a little bit thicker. Not a whole lot, but I just want to pull a little bit of the moisture off there to save some time in the dehydrator. So that has cooked down for a little while, and you can see where the puree level has dropped down just a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull some of this basically foam off the top, and I just put it in a little container and get rid of it. So I just transferred that into another pot. It's hot and I wanted it in just a cleaner, shallower pot, and I measured it. So we started with, what did we say, 177-ish, so about 175 plums, and this is 17 cups of puree. You can see it's still hot. I'm gonna let it cool down just maybe a little bit, and then we'll put it in the dehydrator. And this is my little workspace back in the laundry room. I've got my little old Cabela's dehydrator. I don't think they make these anymore, but they come with these nice racks for drying. I use this for drying herbs and things all through the year, but it also did come with these. I think it came with 4, and I bought, looks like I bought maybe 2 more on Amazon somewhere that are similar size. And these are the fruit leather trays, which just fit right inside there like that. And then we're going to pour about 1/8 of an inch of the puree into each of these trays, and then they will stack. And we're going to turn the dehydrator to 135 to 140. So I have measured a cup of the puree, and we're going to just pour it evenly around. And we'll see how much these trays hold, so you can make notes if you want. I mean, again, I don't know. I'll have to measure. I'll put on the screen here how big around these trays are, but I bet they're probably fairly standard. And it looks like a cup is probably about what you want on there. So we're going to do a cup in each, and I have 6 trays, which is only going to do 6 cups. So I am going to have to run multiple rounds. Okay, so you can see that is all stacked, 6 trays, and it's at 140-ish, and we're going to run it for probably about 6 hours before I check it. So after this has run until it's dry, we're going to come back, and there should be just a sheen left to it, but it shouldn't look wet and it shouldn't feel tacky. And then what I do is take your little fruit tray out. That can be set aside to get washed. And then I take this little tiny spatula, and wax paper is what I will use to work with this. And I've got some scissors here because we're going to cut this in half when we get it off. So what I do is you want to just go down around the edge and get a bit of it lifted so you can peel this. And if it's done right, it should peel pretty much. I've had them peel off, I've had them rip. But if you're lucky, you might be able to get it to come off the plastic in one cool piece, one big sheet. Let's see what happens. You're seeing it here first. Look how good that looks. Oh my goodness. Oh, that looks so good. And again, you can add your own sweetener to this, but ours is fairly tart because it's literally just fruit. This is just fruit. It's so good. And if you're lucky, you can pull the whole thing off. One beautiful sheet that came off that round. And you can see it's just got a nice shine to it. And it's not too sticky, but it's not too dried out. So what I'm going to do is cut this into half like that. And then I'm going to lay that right on a piece of wax paper. And there's probably a fancier way to do this, but this is just how I do it. Just lay it right on the wax paper like that. And I just roll them up from the short end like this. And try and keep it even as you go. And there's probably a fancier way to do this, but this is just my method. So when it's done, you've got a roll like that. And then just to tidy it up, I will take a pair of scissors and just trim the extra wax paper off so they fit easily inside of a Ziploc bag, like that. And it's not beautiful, but it's delicious. And you've got a perfect little snack for your family to enjoy for weeks and weeks to come. And if you're like us, they won't last long. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.